Hi, and welcome to day 5 of the Easy English Fundamentals 7-day course. Well, today we're past the hump. We're past halfway through the course. So far we've learned some of the motivation for learning English, some of the reasons why it's important to learn English. We've studied some of the theory of learning English, of learning in general, and also the theory of conversational English and why it's different than learning textbook methods. We've also studied 2 powerful techniques. Yesterday we studied Devour American Movies You Love and Steal Time for Fluency, techniques that you can use right away. Before we go on, I want to say thank you so much for being a student of life and a leader in your community. You see, the fact that you're here means that you are part of the very small section of society and people around the world that want to take their learning to the next level, that feel that it's important to learn, place a high value on that. I think that you're a leader of your family, of your community, and you're making the world a better place. I'm a big learner too. I have spent so much time learning, and we're connected in that way. And I just want to say, as a fellow learner and as a fellow leader, thank you. Really, thank you so much for being here. Okay, so let's dive right into today's Fluent Fast techniques. We've got 2 of them for you. Now, number 1 is kill books with video. Kill books with video. I also call this the 70-20-10 rule. And what do we mean when we say kill books with video? Well, I am, as I said, I'm an avid learner. I've spent many years reading, studying. I've studied human psychology, behavior of primates, chimpanzees, and how it relates to behavioral psychology. I've studied learning systems and how the human brain learns. I've also studied business quite a bit and some other topics which I've been interested in. I've read hundreds of books, and I'm a big advocate of learning and of reading. But in the last few years, the last couple of years, I haven't read that many books. Why? Because my preferred method of studying now, of learning, is watching video and listening to audio. The average book takes about 7 hours to read, 6 or 7 hours. Well, if I study video, if I watch some video, or if I listen to some audio for 6 or 7 hours, I'll typically cover a lot more ground, and I'll listen to or watch the equivalent of about 30 hours of what I would read in a book in the same amount of time, 7 hours. You see, video and audio conveys so much more information than a book. It's similar to the theory of conversational English that we talked about a few days ago, that I would almost look at a book as like black and white, kind of a black and white learning style, whereas video and audio are more of that color learning style. There's just a lot more information. You know, I've heard that if a picture tells 1,000 words, popular expression in America, a picture tells 1,000 words. Well, if that's true, then a video tells 1,000,000 words, like 1,000 times more, because moving pictures and audio is just such a rich environment. And these days, on almost any topic, there's a lot of video. I mean, you can go to YouTube and find, you know, dozens of hours of video on almost any subject that you want to learn. So I'm a big fan of using video and audio as learning tools, and I don't spend as much time reading anymore. Now, when I say kill books with video, I don't mean, destroy your books or burn them or something like that. I mean, books are sacred, okay? Keep your books. I've got hundreds of books. But these days, I prefer to learn with video and audio. So I talked about the 70-20-10 rule. What is that? What that means is, in your English learning, spend 70% of your time studying video, 20% of your time listening to audio, and 10% of your time reading books. 70, 20, 10. Okay, let's talk about Fluent Fast technique number 4. Fluent Fast technique number 4 is hear clusters, not words. Hear clusters, not words. Hear clusters, not words. Okay, do you remember in day 3 when we were talking about the theory of conversational English? I said that conversational English doesn't have periods. The reason is because when people are talking back and forth, usually before someone finishes talking, another person starts. You kind of have this, and then the second person starts talking before the first person finishes. And you don't have that period, like the end of a thought, before another one starts. But what you do have is the comma. The comma is more of a pause between thoughts. And so a cluster of words may be that group of words between commas. The idea is that we don't express units of meaning in individual words as much as we express units of meaning in clusters of words. That's partially because a word has a meaning, a vocabulary word, but then the meaning of that word changes by the group of words around it. So it's important to study clusters of words more than individual vocabulary words. Another thing that I could say is that if you understood the 500 most common clusters of words, then you would actually know how to speak English pretty well. But if you understand the 500 most popular vocabulary words, you still won't be fluent at all. Okay, so if you understand those phrases, those clusters, if you understand what that cluster means, you'll get it. But if you understand what the words mean that are in those clusters, you still won't get it. Okay? Because in that cluster, there's a lot more information, there's a lot more context. Now, some people have said, well, study idioms. Idiom is kind of a confusing little phrase that if you're fluent in English, you just kind of understand it. It doesn't necessarily mean what the words themselves mean, but it's just got a different meaning. Well, idioms, I'm kind of talking about idioms. We also hear study phrases. But I'm not talking about idioms or phrases. I'm talking about clusters. Because a cluster includes all of the idioms. It also includes all of the phrases. But it's more than that. A cluster includes idioms, includes phrases, but there's also even more than that in the definition of clusters as I'm using it. It's just words that kind of go together, that you hear together a lot. So hear clusters, not words. Okay, so that is 2 more Fluent Fast techniques that you can use today to go out and take your English to the next level, to get a lot closer to fluency. Today we studied kill books with video, and we studied hear clusters, not words. Okay, those are 2 powerful Fluent Fast techniques for today. So tomorrow we've got 2 more techniques. Be sure to show up for tomorrow's lesson. And then on the 7th day, we're going to do interview with cultural creative. So thank you again for showing up today. Thank you for being a leader in your community, for being a learner, a student of life. And tune in tomorrow. We'll get into more great Fluent fast techniques. I'll see you then.